have a ball on me, man. So you're tired of sucking at golf. That's good for you. You came to the right place. Now, today we're gonna talk about the psychology behind improvement and therefore improving at golf. So then you can feel better about yourself. And you can translate these things into your life and things outside of golf, but we're gonna focus on golf because obviously this is a golfing psychology channel. Anyway, so the first thing about improving at golf is realizing that we're not going to improve at golf. Hearsay. Every time. One of the mistakes that people make when they're trying to improve at things in their life, and let's just say golf, is they're focusing on the wrong things. By trying to improve at golf, you are actually not improving at golf. Kind of. So let's take this hole for example. Pretty good putt. So let's take this hole for example. Now we're here. Where did I make the mistake on this hole? Which part was the part of my game that I needed to improve? Which a lot of people will end up in the position like this, where they hit a bunch of bad shots on a hole and they think, I need to get better at golf. Maybe. But the reality is, was it the bad tee shot? Was it the bad chip? Was it the bad first putt? Which one was it? Was it all of it? Now, golf is the perfect game in making you feel like you did nothing correct. But that's not true. If we take that hole, for example, now, of course, there are many things that we could say we could have done better. The reality is, golf is a series of events that if I put myself in a better position off the tee, well, maybe I would have had an easier chip shot, right? Now, we can always aim for perfection and think, well, if I just hit it on the green 2 feet away from the hole, I would have had a birdie. Yeah, but it was a 220-yard par 3. What are the chances of you actually landing it that close or even on the green? So by focusing on trying to improve everything or thinking that I suck at everything and I just need to play that hole better, you need to break down your improvement into sections. So I worked with I guess you could say a former famous athlete before, and we was trying to get back into shape, trying to get his mental back in, and as well as the physical side of things. Now, of course, I'm not controlling the physical side of things. We're helping him on his mental. Now, within that, what are the mistakes that a person like that would make trying to get back into a professional athlete form while trying to get their mental health improved? Perfect. Just like improving at golf, you need to focus on one thing at a time and then get better at that. So if we're taking tee shots, for example, players that aren't breaking like 90, let's say you need to stop losing balls off the tee, right? Let's take scratch golfers or, better golfers, tournament golfers. They maybe need to hit more fairways, right? So those would be the categories that you need to block your improvement on to actually get better. You track that the next round as opposed to trying to focus on everything. Think about the biggest mistakes that you make. So if you're losing the ball off the tee, you would need to focus on not losing the ball off the tee for a little bit and get better at that and more confident at that before moving forward. If you're a scratch golfer or a tournament player, right, maybe you need to focus on hitting more fairways off the tee, right? And you would focus on trying to improve that. So if I'm going out for a round of golf or I'm trying to really get down to a scratch handicap or, a single figure or 10, whatever it is, right? You just need to compartmentalize what I'm actually working on at this time, right? So for me, I'm trying to get down to a scratch handicap. I need to focus on, not hitting some phony fucking trees. But the point is, you need to just compartmentalize and focus on improving one area of your game, and the other areas will work their way up alongside it. But by trying to focus on everything all at once, we're going to fail because it's too many things to focus on. And then you're compounding too many mistakes, which we'll talk more about. And then you're thinking that bad shot, I pulled that shot into the tree, but was it because of the tee shot or was it because I pulled the shot on that shot and which part was actually the fault? And then, you get the point. If I'm focusing on my short game, okay, well then I'm gonna focus on my short game and I'm gonna focus on anything within 100 yards. I'm always going to try to hit the green, depending on my skill level, right? I'm gonna choose one club and I'm only gonna choose my 54 and I'm only gonna use that within 100 yards and I'm gonna go for it every single time. You get that? Does it make sense so far? And it's not to say that going out for a practice round, you're not going to try to focus on these other areas of your game, but I'm mentally not going to input them into the system in my brain of, you know what, hit a bad putt, it doesn't matter because I'm trying to focus on wedge shots within 100 yards. So all I'm trying to focus on this round, today, whatever it is, this practice, this range session, compartmentalize it into blocks of this is what I want to focus on. I need to decipher what is still going wrong with it when I'm trying to focus on it, improve it, and then work on the next thing. So how do you actually improve? Well, that's up to you. That's up to your coach if you have one, or that's up to you and deciding on what is it that I actually need to work on. So let's take, I don't know, ball striking, for example. Let's say you chronically top it or chunk it. But you just need to work on your low point control. How you do that is up to you. You can find a video on that. You can do whatever you want. But you need to practice your low point control if you're chopping and chunking it all the time. Let's say you focus on slicing it. Let's say you lose it and you slice it too much off the tee. One of the big things with making a swing change is if you're gonna make a swing change, you only focus on the swing change. You don't focus on the course management for then. You just focus on getting the swing change to be more automatic and feeling like you're actually doing the change that you want to put in. Because once you do a swing change, well, it's going to change the way that you're playing the course most of the time. And I can't do proper course management and focus on the swing change at the same time. So if I slice it and now I'm doing the swing change to hit a draw, how do I play course management that way, right? Because I'm still going to slice it until I get this swing change under go. And that's why you don't want to change your swing when you don't know what you're doing or you're trying to improve other things in your game. But whatever you choose to focus on how you improve, ultimately it's going to come down to better course management. Let's break it down into categories. You got tee shots, you got approach shots, you have wedge shots, you got putting, and then you got mental. So let's say those 5 categories are areas that you can choose to focus on one point at a time. And then from there, what is it about that area that you specifically need to focus on? Don't worry about what your friend needs to improve on, worry about what you need to improve on. Now, one of the easiest areas that most people can work on improving is their mental. Let's take these last 2 shots, for example. You hit one 315 yards down, middle of the fairway, and then you pull your next easy shot 40 yards away from the green. Now, mentally, a lot of people implode at that point. You're thinking, oh, I hit a great shot and now I wasted that drive because I'm out here now and and then you start to beat yourself up and you start to just mentally collapse. And that ain't good. That's not going to help you actually pay proper course management and focus on, well, what is it that I actually need to do right here? Because all that training is going to be essentially useless if you can't focus down on, all right, well, what is it that I need to do right here? What is it that I have been focusing on if my last shot was a bad shot and I'm only thinking about the bad shot? You can't actually improve that way. And the mental side of things is where you see a lot of these good YouTubers really just fall apart. I'm not going to throw shade at them, but just an observation. I don't know them, of course. Let's take Fat Perez. Fat Perez is a really good golfer. But when he plays with people better than him, you always see him collapse. He hit a bad shot, he stops talking. He stops being the funny Fat Perez that, you see in the Bob Does Sports video. What a terrible putt. And because you hit terrible shots, and if you're in these high pressure situations, such as, let's say, a tournament round, you're going from YouTube where it's casual to a tournament round, well, now mentally, or you can even say going from a practice round to a real round with your friends, mentally there's a little bit of different pressure on these putts. And if I have pressure on these putts, well, I can't focus on what do I need to actually do because I'm thinking about the pressure. And that's where compartmentalizing comes in because, oh, come on, dude. Being able to separate what is it that I'm actually focusing on here today, I can dismiss everything that does not work. So if I'm focusing on tee shots today, that was a win, right? These 2 putts in the pool, doesn't matter, right? I'm telling myself that it doesn't matter because I'm only here to focus on tee shots. If I'm focusing on wedge shots, well, that was a good wedge shot, right? I'm focusing on, so you get the point. Being able to compartmentalize what is it that you are actually focusing on and trying to improve on is going to allow you to separate all the bullshit and the bad shots that you are hitting. The other side of improving at golf is focusing on, okay, do I need to play better or do I need to score better? Now, most people are going to fall into the first category of I need to play better. I would categorize it or define it as I need to work on just making better contact with the ball, making better decisions, and not losing the ball. What I would want to focus on to play better is 1, solid contact, 2, don't lose the ball. It's very simple. I don't need to focus on getting it on the green. I don't need to focus on, landing it within 15 feet. I just need to focus on, all right, don't hit it left, don't pull it left, don't top it, don't chunk it. And that's very easy criteria. And then you'll improve. All I'm focusing on is good contact here. Good contact. The direction doesn't matter because I got good contact. From there, I'll figure it out. I got a wedge in my hand. Now, if you need to score better, where'd my tee go? Did you see where my tee went? That means you are focusing on, I need to get some pars, maybe even birdies if tournament conditions. So what does that mean? Well, that means I'm not worried about, chunking or topping this. I have confidence in my ability to hit the ball. And I'm not worried about going out of bounds, aside from a very rare fluke, right? But I don't need to focus on playing better because I know contact with the ball is fine. Don't need to worry about that. I need to focus on how do I land it on the green. So then you can start taking in different factors affecting your course management. That could be a hole-in-one. Oh, so let's take these 2 balls, for example. The mental approach that I would take differently for each of these is, if I'm trying to play better, all I really want to do here is choose a confident club. I'm trying to get the most confident clubs in my hand as much as possible. Which clubs do I feel like I can hit 9 times out of 10? From here, the wedge shot, I'll be taking the mental approach of, how do I get it on the green? I don't need to focus on trying to land it close to the pin. All I need to focus on is good contact, get it over the bunker, get this wedge out of my hand on the next shot. Because if you do that, well, then you're going to end up making, even worse decisions. So you don't want to try to get cute with it, try to open up the club face, try to flop it up or choose a 60 degree when you don't have confidence or don't understand the lie. Versus if I'm over here trying to score better, well, then I'm taking in more consideration on what is the wind doing? What does the lie look like? What is the sloping up there looking like? What club do I feel like can get the ball closer to the hole? So I'm taking a whole different mental approach into consideration versus a much more broad approach of just get the ball on the green, get a wedge out of my hand so I don't leave myself with a bunker shot or something like that. Let's say I'm trying to score better. If I have confidence in my driver, I could choose a driver here. Babe, you can choose shots that the person that's just trying to play better should not choose. The person that's trying to play better should not choose driver because it's a very narrow fairway. I don't need to take into consideration the wind. I don't need to take into consideration the angle, trying to hit a draw, trying to hit a fade. All of those things don't really matter because all I need to do is focus on, well, how do I keep this ball somewhere on planet Earth? The person that's trying to play better, most of the time, they should be taking less driver than they actually need to because it's not going to actually do them much better in their scoring. If you let your ego down and you realize that you fall into the category, I need to play better. Because if you need to play better and you're trying to score better, you're going to be taking on shots that you don't have the skill to hit yet. So let's take this one for example. It's 150 yards, pretty straightforward. But if I, for whatever reason, if I don't have a club that goes 150 yards, say I'm in between 2 or 3 different clubs, and my dispersion is very wide, and let's say it goes to the right most of the time, trying to score better, I could convince myself that, you know what, I'm gonna go for it because I have a birdie chance. I hit a great drive, I got a birdie chance. You know what, let's do this. If you're trying to play better and you don't have a confident club in your hand, well, you can just lay up. There's nothing wrong with laying up for a par 4. And now you have an easier wedge shot in your hand versus a harder one where if I went for it, I could potentially leave myself in that bunker. So if we take the 2 shots that I hit, one intentionally laying up and one going for it and leaving myself in a bad spot, well, which one is easier? I'm in the rough, but I have a lot of room to work with and let it versus in the bunker where I have a big old lip in front of me and I still need to let it run out. So I need to pop it up high and then let it run out. Now, if you have confidence in your bunker shots, you could say the bunker, but in reality, this one is a lot easier than that bunker shot. Really that bad. If the rough was, Oakmont, maybe you would definitely choose the bunker shot, but it's not. So you just need to decide, go back to your game, compartmentalize, which parts of my game do I need to improve upon? If I have confidence in my wedge game, well, then that means I can be more aggressive because I have confidence that I can get up and down from versus if I don't have confidence in my wedge game, well, I need my wedge game because I'm leaving myself in these bad positions more often than not, and I need to scramble better. So if you're trying to analyze what is it that I actually need to improve upon, one of the things that I like to do is you play from the front tees. Now you play from the front tees, and if you play from the front tees and you realize that you score a lot better, maybe like 10 shots better than you normally do, well, that could mean your tee shots are the problem because your tee shots are leaving you in areas where maybe your approach shots are too long, too hard, you're hitting it too short off the tee, whatever it is, you're choosing tees that are too far back for you, or you're losing the ball too much. If you realize that I'm not really scoring that much better, well, then your short game is probably at fault because I'm not able to take advantage of the shorter distance with wedges in my hand, and my scrambling is pretty much, not doing me any good. Now, if you're playing from the red tees and you're choosing driver all the time and you're not scoring better, well, then it's pretty obvious that your driver is the problem. But by playing the front tees, you can easily break down, okay, is it my driver or is it my wedges? Because when you play from maybe the whites or the blues, well, then your driver could leave you into a bad spot where you don't even get to analyze properly how your wedges or your short irons are actually affecting you. So you could choose irons off the tee now, and now I have a wedge in my hand after choosing an iron off the tee from the red tees. And I can analyze, is it my wedges that are getting me in trouble or is it my tee shots? And then you watch the video again and then you analyze what is it I actually need to focus on and blah, 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 blah. You get the point.